we all have things that we wish we had known. That upon reflection, looking back at our life, some of the profound lessons that if we'd have known that sooner, how much better life would be, how much further along we would be, how much smoother things would have been. And in my case, upon reflection, I realized some of the most profound things that I wish I had known revolve around my relationship with God. Even as a kid, I never questioned the reality of God, but I wanted more. I didn't want just that feel-good idea that, yes, God loves you. I wanted, how does that work? How does that practically work in my life? I remember as a kid that verse, draw near unto God and He will draw near unto you. And I desperately wanted somebody to tell me, how do you do that? That's great. I want that. How do I get God to draw near unto me? Now, the good news is, I think I was overthinking it. I made it a little more complicated than it needed to be. But I did want more than just that feel-good aspect. I wanted literally what I saw, that these heroes of the faith, that God was their friend. He moved in power. He did the amazing. I wanted that relationship with God. I didn't want it just to be a nice story. I wanted it to be reality. So I'm going to share one profound truth that I wish I had known sooner. And it revolves around receiving from God. Now, we kind of tend to fall into this trap of thinking of God as the God of the universe. He spoke everything into creation. So God loves us. And so this idea, we want to receive from God. We're waiting for God to reach out and put it in our hands. And the reality is we need to understand what our role is. And it plays out so great in James. Now, it's referencing wisdom, but the principle applies. And it talks about asking in faith. And it goes on and says, but if you don't have faith, don't expect to receive anything from God. Now, what's interesting in this, that word receive, it isn't that by faith God just hands it to us, but rather it's a little bit reversed. That word receive means for us to lay claim to, take hold of what is ours. So in other words, when we receive, what we're doing is by faith it becomes ours, and then we, by faith, lay hold of it. We take hold of it. In other words, rather than just God reaching out and handing it to us, God's got it available. And we have to receive it. We have to reach out, lay hold, and take claim of it. Now, again, before we fall into the trap that I've done so many times in the past, is overthinking it. It's just letting that settle in and recognizing that God has so much more for us. And are we missing out because we're waiting for God to do the amazing, when God is sitting there with it in His hands waiting for us, saying, come receive it.